All right, let's talk about some NASCAR. Specifically, let's talk about the Clash and what we saw in this race. All kinds of stuff out there about Jimmie Johnson causing the wreck, so on and so forth. There's not a lot of people talking about the fact that he went below the yellow line after the contact. Which is not allowed. You're not allowed to increase your position on the track by going below the yellow line. And there's stuff about this rule. If it's to avoid a wreck, then you can go below the yellow line. But there was contact made. He went below the yellow line. He increased his position. I don't know, man. The rules are they're crazy. This is my thought. You might agree with me, you might not. I'm not going to keep you guys long. I just want to talk a little bit about how I feel, see if you guys feel the same. You can comment below, we can chat it out. I love talking NASCAR, so my thought is that NASCAR for years has been trying to gear things toward a younger audience. You got all kinds of sprint cars and stuff, these road cars with the big gay wing on the back that all these kids love and enjoy. Drifting, which is something I've never really been into. But I feel like they're trying to gear it toward a younger audience. And my thought is this, stop messing with what has worked. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We've heard this saying our whole lives. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Leave it alone. It's great. You can add little changes, but when you're making changes every single year, you're making the drivers mad. You're making us fans mad. We can't even get used to one thing. The drivers can't even get used to one thing before you go and change something else. When the chase took place, I was not a fan of it because to me personally, that's not racing. How you going to have a guy win the championship who's won 2 or 3 races out of the year become champion over somebody that might have a dozen? That can happen now. And it doesn't make any sense. You go from race 1 to race 36, the best wins, period. That to me is truly how it ought to be. Now, the chases, they did it to make things more exciting, and I understand that. One thing I definitely hate are the stage races. We're going to go 60 laps, we're going to stop. We're going to go 80 laps, we're going to stop. We're going to go that last stage. To me, that takes away from racing. It takes away from the pit strategy. And it takes away from what the driver has been working for. You know what I mean? Think about it. It's stage 1, you're out there, you're in 20th place, you move up to 13th. And then they throw an unnecessary flag, everybody comes into the pits. You better hope you got a good pit stop, because if you don't, all that work you just did was for nothing. So it's unnecessary. Let the drivers, let the crews determine when that driver needs to come into the pits. That's a part of racing that NASCAR is eliminating. You know what I mean? It's unnecessary. A race is long enough as it is for the drivers, for the fans up in the stands, and we love it. Granted, we love our racing. But an unnecessary flag, there's enough unnecessary flags. Yellows and things that happen. We want to see racing. We don't want to see them stop. We want to see them go. We want to see our pit stops, yes, but it's more exciting to see them come in, to see when they want to come in and see the pit strategy unfold. So every decision that they've made here lately, I'm not going to say that they've all been bad, but looking at the Clash, how many of you guys watched the Clash? Cars got strung out, and you might say, well, this race really didn't mean a whole lot. The guys didn't want to tear up their cars, so they weren't really mixing it up quite as much as they will be in the 500. Maybe, maybe not. You know, I hope that the guys are able to move around and pass better than what we saw in this clash. They added the taller spoiler, 8-inch spoiler now, as opposed to, I think, 2 3/4 inch, somewhere along those lines, below 3 inches. I know that for sure. So we went from this to this, you know, and so we got more downforce now. They claim that the cars are better controlled due to the downforce. But still, you know, looking at the clash, we saw the cars riding, you know, and going back to the stages, NASCAR's created more of that riding. They know, the drivers know another pit stop's coming. Another pit stop's coming. We got time to fix this thing. We don't have to worry about a yellow coming out or coming in under a green because there's a mandatory stop. You know, it messes the whole dynamic of a race up when you have all these mandatory stops. So that's just my thoughts. You can disagree. It's just not racing. Not a fan of restrictor plates. I wish they would take them off and just let the guys fly. And you might say, well, that's dangerous. These are the, you know, safest cars in the world. Of course, we don't want to see accidents, but think about it. The restrictor plates bunch everybody up. And then even though they're bunched up, they can't really pass when they want to. They got to stick in the draft, and everybody's running almost equal horsepower, and, you know, not a whole lot of action because everybody is exactly the same or close to it. I don't know. I personally, I would like to see what it would look like. Just let them go. If they do 215, let them do 215. Let the engineer, the engine builder, have their time to shine. Those guys are not even hardly looked at anymore. All they're thinking about is, man, I got to build an engine that'll last. You know, they're not thinking, how can I get just a little, they are. They're thinking, how can I get a little bit more horsepower? But when you take a plate and you restrict what that engine can really do, you're taking away from a dynamic of racing, and I don't like it. I've never liked it. Dale Earnhardt didn't like it. You got all sorts of drivers that don't like it. And that's another thing. NASCAR silences the voice of the drivers. If they say certain things, and this happened back several years where NASCAR came out against them and said, hey, you're not going to say anything negative about our sport because if you do, we're going to fine you. That's not racing either. These guys ought to be allowed to speak their minds fully without fear of getting fined or getting points taken away from them or anything else. NASCAR has said that they want to try to do away completely with cheating. I agree with that. But cheating's a part of every single sport. You got to look for every advantage that you can get. That's why I say take the plates off. You know, as long as everything is within specs before and after the race, hey, let it go, man. Let those cars get out there and do what they can do. Indy cars do it, you know, and I'm sure that there's a whole different dynamic of rules there. We won't get into IndyCar, but these stock cars are a whole lot safer than them, and those guys are doing what, 225, 230? And there seems to be a whole lot more action as far as passing back and forth. You see Indy cars passing back and forth constantly. So we got to do something to get the racing better. NASCAR got to do something. I hope this package works out this year. I hope that we don't see cars just strung out and riding. And again, going back to my point with the stages, that's already, NASCAR's already, you know, done that because these guys know that caution is coming. So don't do it further by giving the guys a package, a racing package for their cars that's not gonna work out to where they can't pass, or the leader has, you know, the biggest advantage due to the downforce, and I don't know, it's just crazy. But Chase Elliott fans, we've got our guy starting in the top 5. Hendricks, top 4 positions. That's awesome. You know, Jimmie did get in to the guy, no doubt about it. Big, huge wreck back behind him. Took out 80% of the field, pretty much. So, I don't think he intended to wreck the guy. I do definitely, looking at the footage, know that he intended on moving him, you know. And I don't know, it might have been a combination of him coming down at the same time Jimmie was trying to bump him. It's kind of, but it looks to me like Jimmie meant to get into him, no doubt. I don't think he meant to turn him around. But these cars are sensitive, you know. I wish they would do, the downforce is gonna help as far as the stability, okay? They're able to drive wherever they want with more ease. But these cars are so aero sensitive, you could walk up to the back end and slap it and the thing would probably turn around. So that's something that, you know, I'd like to see a car to where there can be a little bit more bumping, a little bit more contact, you know. So that's racing, you know. Rubbing is racing. I don't like to see anybody taken out, but bumping and nudging and a little bit of pushing, that's just racing, man. That's every form of racing. Unless you're racing dirt bikes, you know. So, but anyway, let me know what you think below in the comments. Like this video, share it. If you're not a subscriber of mine on YouTube, you can go ahead and subscribe. Click on the bell, be notified of all my future videos. I'm going to be doing post-race videos. Chase Elliott, go Chase, go number 9. And you guys can be ready for that. So Daytona 500 coming up. Let's go Chase Elliott. Let's go get a win. 12-1 odds in Vegas on Chase being able to take it home. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see what the cars look like as far as passing and things of that sort. Let me know what you think down below. If you agree, you disagree, you know, let's just chat about it. All right. You gotta stop arguing, man. It was not a points race. Jimmie did what he did. All right. Stop fighting. Stop all of that. Not necessary. I have a Facebook group page dedicated to Chase. I'm about to make some changes in that page, as a matter of fact. But if you guys want information on that, you can let me know and comment down below, and I'll give you a link to it, and you can join. So thank you guys very much for watching. Go Chase Elliott. Let's get ready for the Daytona 500.